And we're back. Welcome to Roundtable Talk, where you can have a seat at our table. And I'm Peyton Alana.
I'm Erica Noel.
And you already know, it's your boy, Andre Williams, but you could call me Dre.
And it is a special holiday to some because it's 420.
It
420,
is.
baby.
So we're going to get into a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But we're going to do a little recap because they haven't seen us in a while.
It's been a little minute. It's been a couple of weeks, you know,
And
so it's like...
Week before last was Springfest, but we didn't really get into all of that. But it was a good one. It was giving old PV vibes, just a little bit. Just a little bit, just a little bit.
It was cute.
You know.
Oh my gosh,
It was cute.
Andre, please.
It was cute. I'm going to be the old man in the club.
You
it
are.
was cute.
You are.
It was fun.
It's a little positive.
It was definitely fun.
But other than that, y'all doing good. How's the and then we went over mental health. I think the week before that. So how's mental health check? Y'all feeling good? Y'all feeling okay?
Good. You know, we're getting through.
Look,
Okay.
Right. Sometimes I feel you want
Slowly but surely.
Right. We gonna get through. 3 more
Depending
weeks,
on the person in my mind who comes up first or is the most dominant, that's where my mental health will be that day.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're about to go into commercial, but after the commercial, we're going to go into 420. We're going to go into the details about it, the positive and the negative effects of marijuana, and just a little bit more. So y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Make sure y'all come back, okay?
Stay tuned.
All right.
Alrighty, thank you guys for tuning in. Okay, today, y'all, we are talking about 420. So, first off, can we just go ahead and put it out there where marijuana is legal in what states?
Because
Okay,
it's
I'm
not
gonna
legal
always
here.
say California represent right here, baby.
Y'all like the main one. Y'all in Colorado, y'all like the main ones that we trust.
Right.
But I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the list according to U.S. News Today. The states where recreational marijuana is legal is Colorado, Washington, Alaska, Oregon, Washington, D.C., California, Maine, Massachusetts, Nevada, Michigan, Vermont, Guam. I didn't even know that was in the U.S.
Right.
Illinois, Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, New Mexico, and Connecticut.
All right.
That was a long list.
That's
but
more
you
than
know
I
what
thought
state
there
I
was.
did not hear though is Texas.
Texas.
But you know we gonna get it.
And I don't know if I'm a little biased, but I feel like a lot of those states don't have a lot of like brown people in them.
First of all, most of those states was flyby states.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to none of them states.
Well, you know,
I don't feel comfortable.
you know,
disrespect.
we just gonna, you know, accept it. But I just feel like, you know, there is not a lot of us out there.
I don't want to go to none of them states, baby.
You
Those
know,
are drive-by states.
I don't want to go.
kind of straight through, but it's okay. You know,
It's okay. All right. Well,
gon-
you go and you let me know, okay?
Right, but we're gonna go
All right.
ahead and talk about, you know, dispensaries, how you can get marijuana, you know, what a dispensary is, you know, what they sell, okay, ID checks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give my little 411 on that. And I just wanna go ahead and I'm speaking from California, okay? All right, that's where I'm speaking from. So California does have dispensaries almost everywhere, and especially in Los Angeles. So I feel like you can always find, you know, that little green plus sign, okay? And that just lets you know that there's marijuana there, okay? But what they do sell is, of course, marijuana, and they also sell, like, you know, THC, you know, edibles, I mean, chips. Nowadays, it's so advanced that you can get almost anything in there, you know, if you want to. And, of course, they ID, so you have to be 21, okay? So for my youngsters out there who are watching, no, not yet.
You can't go.
You can't go.
You
But,
can't go.
you know, have you guys had any, you know, experiences or even went to a dispensary or, you know, talk about that?
I went to Las Vegas for my 21st birthday.
Okay, baby.
And of course you got to stop by like the dispensary, like all like, you know, main
Mm-hmm.
attractions and stuff like that. And it was a lot.
Right.
Honestly, it was very
It was
overwhelming.
yes.
Like, you know,
Yes,
because
that was my first thing
you know,
too. I
you
was
have
like-
your edibles, you have candy, you have butter, you got chocolate
chips,
bars,
chocolates,
chips,
right.
like,
Now
they
they
have
got sodas.
they got flavors. They got flavors, but so it was a little bit overwhelming. But it was a cool experience, especially because like you legal and stuff now, so you want to like try different things and have different experiences.
Yeah, and they definitely have helpful people behind the counter to let you know what you're finna get into. You know what I'm saying? How much intensity it is.
But they're not playing about that ID. No, you can't go. You can't. If you're pregnant, like they not playing. They not cracking. They cracking down
at the door. Okay,
so real.
Okay, so I've never been necessarily to a dispensary, but in my mind, and I don't know, maybe if y'all could clarify for this, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference that they have at a dispensary versus a smoke shop. Because if you go to a smoke shop, you literally see they have like CBD, like weed, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, so what makes that, I guess, different from a dispensary?
I feel like smoke shops are more catered towards like tobacco products. You know, a lot of what do you call it, like cigars, cigarettes, you know, wraps, certain things like that. But I feel like when you go to a dispensary, like they actually have like, I mean, shelves full of like, you know, actual different strains of weed. They have candy, you know what I'm saying? They have actual like, I don't know, I feel like it's more of like, what are you selling? Like, you know what I'm saying? What type of audience or, you know, consumers who you're selling for. So I feel like smoke shop, you can just.
And they have like the percentage of like how much THC is contains in like each marijuana or whatever you get and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, you can still walk into a smoke shop and have, you know, different little things.
Right. So I have a question for y'all then. So like, do y'all think that weed in the state should be legalized everywhere? And if so, why is that?
I mean, I feel like people have two different type of ideas of what marijuana is and just like the effects and how people promote it. You know what I'm saying? How it's, you know, seen, visualized through social media and just, you know, what affects rappers, music. It's all up, you know, it's everywhere. So I feel like when it comes down to like legalization, I feel like, yes, I'm on the standby because it is helpful. You know what I'm saying? If you look at on the medical part and how it can help certain people and like, you know, certain health conditions, it can be helpful. It's just, it has to be regulated, you know?
Okay. What
about
about you?
Think?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm in between because so much has already been done, like with the consequences of marijuana. So I'm more so thinking about what's going to happen to the people that have been, you know, locked up because of marijuana, and then all of a sudden it's legal. So it's kind of like, of course, I want it to be legalized because we're just moving towards that times. But what's going to happen to the people that have been punished by, you know, their choices that are now changing and getting current with the times?
I just feel like, you know, it's on a sadder part that, like, you know, if they do legalize it in all 50 states, of course, I mean, that goes into, you know, a whole different spiel with, okay, is it a crime? Like all these cases that, you know, or all these people that have been locked up, like, you know, and accused of this crime of having marijuana on them, like, now what are you going to do for them? You know what I'm saying? That goes into more of that aspect. But I just feel like, you know, it can be helpful, but I feel like depending on how they do this and how they produce like different dispensaries, and if they legalize it, like the use definitely had to be age restriction, of course, already. But but more so heavily because it's like nowadays, like people can get, you know, anything.
I mean, how much heavily? I mean, it's 21. They went from 18, then went from 21.
Yeah.
You know, you can get. You know, you were young. You can get what you want.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. I just feel like, well.
Unless you go to the dispensary, they ain't having that. They're not having that.
Well, with that being said, since we're talking about age groups, we're going to actually get back to that in our next topic. But first, we have to go to a commercial break. So y'all stay tuned with us, all right? And we're going to see y'all.
Precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
And we're back, and we're about to get into a little bit more of our 420 episode. Yes. So where do we leave off at, Andre?
We was talking about, y'all began this discussion about like ages and how old you think, in your opinion, you should be when you smoke.
I think you should be over the age of 18.
Okay.
Yes.
What about you?
I mean, I would have to agree with Peyton on that, but I feel like also like just don't do it until you're ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
that's great.
Don't do it, you know, because it's you know, a following thing or like a trend. Like, no, just do it when you are actually comfortable, you know more information about what you're finna do.
I personally, I agree with that too. Cause like myself, like, I don't know, it's a slippery slope. Like everybody isn't monolithic, right? So it'll be nice to sit here and say, oh, you should be 18 when you want to smoke. But realistically, and as we said, kids, they gonna smoke when they feel like it. I feel like it just up to you. If you are, like, say you were having a family, and that's another question, like, do you feel like if you was to have a family, how, or if you was to have kids, how old would you allow them to smoke if you were allowed them to smoke under your age? I feel like it just depends on how you introduce them into this world. Because you could be smoking at 15 and beyond it. You're not gonna be someone who's lazy and you're really getting stuff together. But then there's other people who can't be like that.
Yeah.
So I really just feel like it depends on the person. Me, if I was to say, if I was 15, 16-year-old Dre, do I feel like I would be a productive person in society doing that? Absolutely not.
Right.
No, that would be too soon for me. But for someone else, and I know people, it works for them. So. And
then, so I was reading today, like, about the stuff, about the positive and negative effects that it has on you, and really, I learned that, you know, our brains don't stop developing until we're 25. So of course, when you're smoking marijuana, you're killing brain cells. Let's just come on. I mean, that's the reality of it. So even with the whole, is it the weed or the smoke? It's both, isn't it?
Well, weed is different than smoke.
It's the same thing.
Because you could intake marijuana. No, it's not. Because you could intake marijuana and take out the smoke.
I don't understand.
But my thing is, I just want to go back to what, you know, you talked about is how old would you let, like, you know, if you was to have a family, like, at what age, you know, like, would you let your kids? I feel like, for me, I wouldn't introduce them into, like, you know, marijuana or, like, even any recreational drugs, like, until, like, they are old enough. Like, honestly, like, I want to say, like, 20, 21, like, because I feel like 18, like, you're still young. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you are, like, you know.
So you're saying you would introduce, I mean, okay, so we got to be realistic about it now.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're from Cali. So you're from Cali. So I'm pretty sure you were introduced to marijuana way before the age of 20,
like, I've seen, you know what I'm saying.
Or your friends at the very least.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they were doing it young. But I feel like even those, like you said before, I feel like, you know, it is killing brain cells. But I feel like they should not be, you know, starting that or getting introduced into that type of, like, you know, lifestyle or any recreational drug use. I feel like that's a little bit way too early. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is around them and they can be influenced, but I feel like you shouldn't allow your kids to, you know what I'm saying? Like, to go ahead and start smoking at that young age.
For sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I guess just for me personally, I'm just in my mind, I'm like, I'd rather, if I was to have kids, I'd rather them, if they were to do it, I'd rather be under me. Under your roof, supervised things, so I can show you the ways of how you need to do X, Y, and Z. How you need to, if you are going to partake in those activities, how you need to maneuver in life versus you out in the street with your homeboy, probably with people who, I'm not saying all, but there's some people who just be chilling, smoking, just not doing nothing with their life. I'd rather it be supervised under me, because at the end of the day, and even in more and more times, kids are going to do what they want to do. You could be, you could say you could be a parent and you got your kids under your thumb and you could do whatever, but if they want to really do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah. Which is very
so
true.
Like, I guess our main thing is, I guess, to just inform.
Yeah, just be informative. Yeah, that's
like,
a very good word.
Things like that, like, so we gonna do what I want to do. Because I know I was a rebellious child. I did what I wanted to do. My mom did not allow a lot of things, but you know, out of curiosity, you're gonna do
you
that.
are. And I feel like if you introduce them correctly, you know what I'm saying, to what it is, and especially if you see your kid kind of drifting towards that type of, like, you know, friend group or, you know, just certain activities that they're not normally doing, it is out of curiosity, but I feel like, you know, you have to be at that standpoint to go ahead and just be like, okay, let's have a sit down conversation and talk about what's going on.
So has, like, recreational use of marijuana been frowned upon in y'all's families?
Yeah, at least my mom, at least my family. Sorry, Mom, that means single you out. But my family, yeah, they frown upon it.
I want to say my family's like half-half. Like, you know, like, yes, they're okay with it, but, you know, do they stand by it? No.
But it's funny because I see myself slowly turning into like them. Because, like, you know, we're getting older. And I have little cousins that I go home to, and they just trying to, you know, puff and do all this stuff. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm not doing that with you.
Yeah.
Get that away from me. What do you know about that?
You're
And it's
12.
Just like, yeah, but it's just like we all grow. We all do what we want to do. But it's just like now I can see myself being like, oh, I don't want you doing that. Like, you don't need to be doing that. What are you doing that for? Like, find a different way to cope. Like, literally, we've heard all that before, but now I feel like we're the ones saying it. You know? Do you kind of see that? No? Right?
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. I think we all say the same thing when you grow, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like when you get older, you have a different mindset, and then you be like, oh, those kids today, and you don't realize you were that kid. You were doing the same things. It's just like you got to be self-cognizant of the different generational gaps.
Yeah.
So
I can agree on that. I just feel like, it depends on your environment, guys. It depends on, what's going on, what you're into, because not a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go ahead and do that. It's just like, okay, that's what you do, and that's on you type stuff. I think.
Yeah, but it's just more prevalent like now, especially we have like, well, not we, but there's vape pens available.
Yeah,
like kids can't even sit still in class nowadays because they want to go to the bathroom real quick and do what they need to do just so they can sit through the remainder of class.
But I'm gonna be real with you. Even like growing up though, and it's not even necessarily like vape pens. If you just go back to weed, growing up, mind you, to preface, I graduated high school in 2017, so you could see which age range I was in. But kids was already doing that stuff.
I mean, yeah, but
they was already coming big gas. They was already, I remember coming up to school one time and someone was just literally just laying on the floor out there, just out of it.
So if they were doing that then, so just imagine now.
Kids, and then especially like social media is way more prevalent, and you see stuff being more popularized. They already gonna do that, and I don't want to say you copy everything you see, but when you're a kid, you're a sponge. You copy what you think is cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of kids, I just want to say, just throwing a little statistic there since we did tell our, our audience about it. But I feel like, the question was, how many teens do use marijuana? And so according to CDC, they say in 2019, it was 37% of U.S. high school students reported a lifetime use of marijuana, and 22 reported to use marijuana in the past 30 days. So these teens that we're talking about and kids that we're talking about are definitely partaking in recreational use.
And it's getting higher.
And it's definitely going to be something that has to be, regulated or, just, I want to say the right word, but just it needs to be showed upon, you know what I'm saying? But we are going to go ahead and get into our next segment. But after this commercial, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right. So we are back. So what we're about to do now, third segment, we finna get into like some statistics and stuff, and we're gonna really break this stuff down.
Yeah.
So first of all, the two major things when we're talking about marijuana is like, what is it? So there's two different, well, really three. It's indica, sativa, and hybrid. So I'm just gonna break that down real quick. So the difference, like a sativa, is, and this is also according to healthline.com. So sativas are known for their head highs. They are invigorating, energizing effect that could help reduce anxiety or stress and increase creativity and focus. Indicas, on the other hand, are typically associated with full body effects such as increasing deep relaxation and reducing insomnia. In a way that you could tell the difference of them when you, well, I'm not saying you should, but if you was. A sativa is skinny, light green leaves, usually taller and slimmer, and indicas are usually shorter and more, voluminous in its perspective. Sativas is more for like daytime use, and indica is nighttime use. And like we said earlier, hybrid is just a mixture of the two.
Right. So you're going to be able to feel both.
Yeah. if that's what you really want to do, because, you know. But, so, in my thing, I want to ask y'all a question.
Yes.
Do y'all feel, first of all, do y'all feel like weed now is more chemically produced versus back in the day?
Well, of course. If we're referring to back in the day, they did not have the certain technology and I want to say information, you know, to go ahead and see the difference and everything like that, breaking it all the way down to go ahead and produce more of a, like you said, relaxation, you know, just to get that high quickly. But I feel like it was just more, I feel like the way it was planted, you know, it's, yeah, you know, if you ever went into like an actual like, it's not a dispensary, but it's, I want to say it's a marijuana like house, but they call it like, you know, it's like a greenhouse, yeah. And they just, you know, they have a whole plant, you know, lined up like a little garden in there. So I feel like yes, for sure.
Okay. So with that being said, do you feel like your peers have to smoke more in order to retain the high that they want? Because I'm be real with y'all, I've noticed, especially now, and me even saying back in the day, that could be a couple of years before.
Yeah.
I've noticed people have to smoke more weed now in order to feel like they're high versus 2-3 years ago. Like you could get a dime bag and you be good. Now you got to smoke 2-3 G's in order to feel something. Like, how do you feel about that? Do y'all notice the same thing?
I guess I just kind of piggybacking off of it being like chemically, I guess, induced. Because, you know, you have these different type of strands now. You really don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, you're going to intake more because you don't know what it is. You have, like, the bad strands, like the K2, the false, like, weed. You have things laced in fentanyl. So I think all that just kind of works in its, like, own machine, if you ask me. It's just not the same anymore.
I don't think that, like, I see my peers, like, you know, actually, like, you know, giving, or I would say partaking in more recreational use. I just feel like, you know, I feel like, honestly, it just depends on where you get it from, which, you know, the legalized states and dispensaries. Then I feel like, you know, it just depends on, like you said, whether it's an indica or a sativa. Because if you have good weed, you know what I'm saying, you are going to get a good high. You know what I'm saying, whether that's, you know, relaxation or being up. But if you're, you know what I'm saying, getting it from somebody, you know, who you don't know, and you know what I'm saying, it's not up to par, and you see that it's not up to par, then that is on you. You're going to have to partake in more in order to get that high versus going to a dispensary and getting that stuff.
So let me bring a different aspect of it. Not necessarily being, do you think it's necessarily the weed? Do you think it's like that the weed is different, or do you think that people's tolerance to the new weed is getting too high, so they have to smoke more?
I mean, that's up to, like, their personal preference.
I would
like,
say
everybody's, I mean, you know, men and women are different, you know, different body mass, different body types. So really, it's like the tolerance is really, I don't think it's like the issue or like a part of it. It's really just like what's actually in it, like what's actually being like taken into your, like, your, you know, your body.
Yeah, I would just say preference. Okay, that's the word. Just honestly, it depends on you. Like, how do you want to feel? How much can you intake? So, yeah, preference.
Do you think that people may struggle, well, going with that, and also your tolerance, do you think that some people may be addicted to, or do you even think that you could be addicted to weed? And if you do you think, especially in our generation, do you think it's becoming bad or worse than it used to be?
Definitely. Like, you can definitely become addicted to weed, because at the end of the day, weed is a drug. Like, I think everybody forgets that at the end of the day, weed is a drug. Even though it's on the lesser scale, on the scale, it's still a drug. So I feel like, and it creates some type of a dopamine, and when people use it for a coping mechanism. So of course, like, you can be addicted to it, just like you can be addicted to sex, you can be addicted to food, you can be addicted to things that make you feel good. So when people be like, oh, you can't get addicted to weed, like, no.
Yes, you can.
Okay, but I'm gonna be real though, I'm sorry, if you have to go to rehab because of a weed addiction,
everybody's
I'm sorry,
different.
I'm
Everybody's different. Some people gotta go to food rehab because they can't stop eating.
Yeah,
some people, you know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry.
Well, no,
I'm giving you the side eye.
I just feel like, you know, depending, like Peyton said, depending on, you know what I'm saying, what brings you happiness, you know what I'm saying, or like, you know what I'm saying, just what makes you feel good, people are always going to do it. Too much of everything is, you know, not a good thing. But are you gonna, sit there and eat that whole cake by yourself, or are you about to smoke a whole pound?
So have y'all
Which one
ever
are you about to do?
experienced somebody with a weed addiction before, or been around someone who has, or in your opinion, been addicted to weed?
Yes.
That's a hard.
So
one.
how did they behave?
Like they just could not function without marijuana. I'm not gonna say they were. You know when somebody is wanting or feeding for something, or you know what I'm saying, or just like you hungry, just like you can tell when that person wants what they want. Sometimes it's just too much.
True.
Or do you have that friend that got to smoke before everything? Like
true, and I know some people like that. But I guess in my opinion, even with those people who we say like maybe be addicted, it's kind of like in a way, and this is why I say I give it the side eye. And again, this is only in my personal experience with people out there.
Right.
If they want to stop, they're going to stop like that. It's not one of those things where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating bullets at night because I'm trying to wean myself off of weed. It's like an instant.
How can you say that?
I said
addiction,
in my experience with the
I know,
people
but
that
addiction is addiction at the end of the day. It don't matter what is, if it's marijuana or if it's something less than that. Addiction is addiction. It's a disease. It's a sickness. So it's like, it's really no scale. I'm just saying, like, see it from that aspect, not that ain't nothing, because weed is nothing to you. But to some people, it's something to them. It's a big thing. Addiction runs in, like, people's families. It's just like an open aspect to look at.
I do have a question. So has anyone ever told you that they smoke weed for emotional reasons, like, for depression and anxiety, or... have you ever had, like, that friend or that person that's like, man, like, I only do this because, like, I'm really, really sad, or I'm really going through it, and I just need something to help me cope,
I'm be real, yes, I have. But, like, for those people who say that, again, I also give them the side eye because after they after they smoke, it would be like, you still feel the same way. It's
but not
like,
everybody,
did it really
but yes.
help you?
I'm sorry, yes.
It's like nothing necessarily changed. It's like you smoke and you still feel the same way. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I lean. Okay.
Yeah.
say it's okay. No, it's
that's
the
why,
same space.
in a way, I don't want to say I take it more lightly versus stuff like if you used to do meth and stuff like that, because it's just like, okay, you're smoking for emotional reasons, but like it's not necessarily helping you because you're still feeling the same way. Yeah, you may feel differently, but you're still depressed at the same time. I just feel like you want something to do and you don't know how to cope with your issues, so you feel like, oh, I'm gonna smoke this blunt because it's allegedly gonna make me feel better. And I'm not saying it doesn't.
Right.
For some people, hey, it may.
Right.
But I mean, most times it'd be like, okay.
So how do y'all feel about medical marijuana? Like, how do y'all feel about it? Like, do y'all stand for it? Like,
yeah, but I feel like medical marijuana is regular marijuana. It's really not necessary. I mean, yeah, if you want to talk about different people putting
like, like for prescribed, like, for people that like, need it for actual, like, like a health reason, like, like we're gonna prescribe you this because you suffer from, like anything like a surgery. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's good, but like
but
that's also coming, and then it also goes to what the government deems as what is acceptable for if you need it for this and third, because there's a whole bunch of quote unquote drugs out there that they say is for medical issues that people still use and abuse, and it really destroys their life. So I just feel the distinction between medical and regular to me is kind of like non-existent because it's the same thing.
They're just getting it through.
They're choosing which one they, because everything's all about money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you feel safer going to like a medical place or like a dispensary rather than getting from,
down the street.
Yeah.
If that has been loyal.
No.
You could always trust that. They didn't want to got it from Pookie from California. You don't know. But on that note, thank you so much for tuning in with us today and having that little hot topic.
I know.
We got into some things today.
Hey, but before we leave, I do want to say, hey, please, if y'all do protect, please be careful.
Yeah.
Right.
There has been an uptick in rise of like people's weed being laced with fentanyl.
Yes.
I wish we could get a little bit deeper in there, but just please be able. There's also been situations where people feel like you just got to understand what you're smoking.
Right.
People have their stuff laced with coke, that, and the
just
stuff,
do
all
your
this other
research,
stuff.
y'all.
Please be careful.
Do your
Please.
research. Don't be doing it, from day down the street. But we definitely just gonna, make sure that our viewers are being safe.
Yes.
Okay, we want y'all to come back.
Thank you. And us here at PVAMU TV do not support the use of illegal drugs. No. So thank you for tuning in, and please come back next week to see what we'll talk about.